This unrivaled Caitlin Clark story is pretty fascinating. Obviously, she had initially said she wasn't playing any basketball in the offseason, and she hasn't moved off of that. But publicly, Unrivaled has been courting Caitlin Clark. The latest report, which is a follow up from the previous report from Front Office Sports, Michael McCarthy's article, is about a Messi-like offer that they're making to Clark, which is basically money plus equity and revenue sharing, those kinds of things. So the more money the league makes, the more money Caitlin Clark would make. And the figure that's been thrown out there is $1 million for a couple of months' work versus her salary in the WNBA is actually $75,000 or so. So the actual salary would be more than 10 times what she makes in the WNBA for much less work. The money, Caitlin Clark is not going to be hard up for money. She could get sponsorship deals all across the board. We mentioned the name Messi. She was ranked ahead of Messi on some marketability list yesterday. Nike deal is worth, almost $30 million. Caitlin Clark is not going to be hurting for cash, right? That doesn't mean it can't be an incentive, but the ball is in her court here. And really what this shows you is, for any of the talk about the success of the WNBA without Caitlin Clark, the powers that be understand who the needle mover is. And I'm sure plenty of the players do as well. I'm sure Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, who are the co-founders of the league, understand that. And obviously the execs clearly understand that. And now that they're broadcasting these games on TNT and putting media rights money in, they're going to want return on the investment. And Caitlin Clark is the best way to get return on the investment, because if Caitlin Clark joins Unrivaled, it is guaranteed to be a success. Guaranteed. Doesn't mean it can't be a success without her, but it's guaranteed to be a success with her. And the path to success without her is much more difficult. Now, to Clark's point of view for a second, because a lot of her fans don't want her to do it. I understand. Want her to take the rest. Want her to get a measure of, I guess, vengeance at the pettiness or the resentment that she experienced in her first WNBA season. I don't know what's going on in Caitlin Clark's head. I can't tell you. This is her decision to make. No one else's. But I will say her North Star in many other instances has been growing the game. And this would be a way to grow the game. Grow women's basketball, help uplift the league. I would hope, if she did indeed also partake and embark on this, that would squash any resentment or animosity toward her. I don't know if that's a guarantee, but you would hope that would be that gesture of goodwill. Like, look, all right, it wasn't exactly easy on me in my first rookie season, but I'm still doing this. Now back off, right? Because Clark knows her worth and knows her power. She doesn't flaunt it, but she knows it. She's too smart not to understand that. And then there's the style of play. And I know people say 3-on-3, whatever. This league is very malleable. It's brand new. And I don't think many fans are going in looking for anything else other than to be entertained and for something different in the offseason. It's kind of like the All-Star game. It would be a fun experience. You see some of the best players in the world. And maybe she's also fueled by the competition. That's another thing that's being discounted here, is Caitlin Clark is a very, very hyper-competitive individual. And she has not had this much time off from basketball in a long, long time. And even with Unrivaled, she would still have plenty of time off. Unrivaled does not start till January. So let's say in a world where she did sign up for the league, we're at the end of October now, still got November, December. That's 2 more months. She's already been off for a month. That's 3 months before Unrivaled. And by the time Unrivaled is done, February, March, another month, right? And change. So there is plenty of time to recuperate and rest. Now, she might just want to be away from all the noise. She might just want to golf. She might just want to hang around with her family. She might just want to train in private. And that is completely and totally her prerogative and understandable. There is always injury risk. There is, again, probably not, the money is probably not needed, or is not needed for Caitlin Clark. I can remove the probably. She's going to make tons of money throughout her career. With that said, maybe there is the itch for the competitiveness. Maybe there is the idea of growing the game, and even though the onus should not be on her to do this, but the goodwill that would come from it. And then the money ain't bad. But it goes to show you, again, for this to be as public as it is, I don't know, the writer, I don't know if he's trying to stir up the interest on based on some conversations he's had, or how upfront and public the Unrivaled execs want this to be. I'm not sure. But desperate is close to a word, right? It feels a little desperate for it to be, it's almost public pressure in a sense for it to be out there this publicly going in. And there are still a few spots that are unfilled and Unrivaled. I think it's 4. So, like, what if it's Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kate Martin? And that could be her team. That would be something I think she would be down for. So we will see how it shakes out. I suppose we should work under the assumption that she's not doing it, because that is what was broadcast in the Fever's final game. But it is intriguing that the smoke continues to billow from the Unrivaled tower there, and they have to be aware. They are aware of what the difference between having Clark and not having Clark would mean. Now, because of Clark and because of other fans who came in and appreciated the rest of the WNBA, a lot of these players now have fan bases or now have a level of awareness that they didn't have. And because, there's a long gap between now and the WNBA season, fans might check it out anyway and might love it anyway. And there are plenty of great players who are playing, including Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart, right? So it's not as if there isn't a lot of talent there. But at the same time, there, Clark there's levels to this, as a great philosopher once said. And Caitlin Clark would bring it up a level. This isn't happening by accident. All you got to do is look at charts, graphs, numbers, ratings, attendance, all those things. And if you're an investor in Unrivaled, or if you're a TV executive who's going to put Unrivaled on, or if you have, ownership stake in Unrivaled, it's the greatest duh in the history of the universe that you would be pursuing Caitlin Clark and would want her to be a part of the league, because her presence is a present, as was once said. And her presence would guarantee success for the league. I think it's as simple as that. There's no other way to put it.